Hi everyone.
Hello.
Hi, my name's Naomi Judge. I'm a naturopath and clinical nutritionist.
Hi, I'm Brenda Janschik. I'm a qualified health and lifestyle coach. Thanks so much for being here tonight, Friday night, 8:30. Hot and sticky in Sydney.
Exactly. But we're super excited because we want to talk to you all tonight about something that Brenda and myself are really passionate about, and it's about stubborn weight loss. Tonight we're talking about the 5 most common barriers that we see to stubborn weight loss, and we want to really add value and give you some takeaways that you can go ahead and implement yourself and really help and get you off the diet treadmill, get you off that sort of intensive exercise regime.
Yeah, that's our passion. We have a lot of women who we see one-on-one, or we have joined our breakthrough program in the past, and they've tried all the diets and they've tried all the shakes and the pills, and we have a much more holistic approach, and we see the success rate and we see that it works. So we just want to share some of those tips and ideas with you, see if it resonates.
So bear with us tonight. I know it's Friday night, but we want to give you some real value and run you through it. And we're going to try and keep it as simple as possible and get to the point.
Yeah.
And at the end, there will be time for questions. So you can type in some questions as we go, and we'll try and get to them at the end and see how we can do.
Okay.
So let's start.
Yeah, let's start. So we're going to talk about the 5 most common barriers to weight loss that we see. So the first one, Naomi, is hormones. Naomi's a hormone expert. I've learned heaps through you actually about how absolutely underrated and important hormones are in this whole big picture. So how do hormones affect your ability to lose weight, and what can you do about it, Naomi?
I'll just bring it up on the screen.
Yeah, that'll be helpful.
So let me just bring it up. That's all that. Let me just get it, guys. Here we go. There we go. Technical issues. There we go. So you should all be seeing this now. So that's Brenda and myself. And as Brenda just mentioned,
how do hormones affect your ability to lose weight?
So hormones are very interesting. They do affect weight. And the main ones we've got leptin, we've got estrogen, so your estrogens, your different estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, thyroid hormones, blood sugar, and insulin. And there are other hormones, but the one that I'm going to focus on tonight, everyone, I'm going to focus on estrogen tonight. Estrogen is a very powerful hormone, and don't get confused about this diagram, but what I wanted to put this diagram there for, what I wanted to try and show you guys is actually how integral estrogen is to other hormones, and actually how you've got the whole hormone cascade. So all hormones start with cholesterol, and they all move down to your stress hormones, to your sex hormones, or your steroid hormones. And then as you can see sort of in the lower right-hand corner, you've got your different estrogens. So you've got estrone, estriol, and estradiol. And they kind of move about and they convert to one another in the liver, and they also convert to and from testosterone. So this is why it's super, super important for women to actually have the right pathways activated. And to have those right pathways activated, you need to use good nutrition, you need to use stress techniques. So what are the ways that you can tell actually that you've got estrogen dominance? Yeah. Well, here we go. PMS is a huge one. So you know the normal moods. You've got erratic moods, you've got quick to rage, you've got teariness. Have you suffered any of that?
100%. I wonder if anyone hasn't suffered, but I haven't necessarily connected it to something going on with my estrogen.
Something going on. And we even look at endometriosis and fibroids and even pap smears that have come back irregular, and they're all driven by estrogen. Estrogen is a hormone that proliferates cells and proliferates growth in a good way, but if you've got too much, it really needs to be taken under control. So you see all the symptoms there. Now, if you're ticking, 4 symptoms there, then you very definitely know that sometime throughout the month you could be suffering from elevated estrogen at some point.
And how does it affect your weight?
So weight is very interesting. So weight distribution actually happens in certain areas of the body. So it actually happens in the stomach area, the lower stomach, kind of like that lower stomach pouch, also the upper arms. And what you do is when you get higher estrogen, you actually start to lose a little bit of the muscle mass. And so it's more a softer kind of tissue, softer skin, softer tissue.
And what can you do about it, Naomi?
So what first of all, why is it high?
Yeah. Why is it high? Why is it high?
Why is it high? Okay, heaps of things. So why it's high. Oral contraceptive pill is a big one.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay.
So how many teenage girls are put on the oral contraceptive pill because of skin, because of even heavy periods?
Yeah, I was.
And that actually causes that estrogen to rise.
Okay.
BPA is one of the biggest ones in the environment.
Oh, yeah, gosh.
Terrible. And BPA actually mimics estrogen. So it sits on the estrogen receptors and it just mimics. So it kind of pretends it's estrogen, really strongly pretend it's estrogen.
We go into that in the breakthrough program a little bit.
Go into that a lot. I mean, that's a huge one.
Yeah.
And then we've got a sluggish liver. So it's a liver's job to kind of excrete estrogen, fat-soluble hormones. Then we've got gut health. If we've got poor gut health, if we've got different kinds of bacteria, that can actually cause more androgens and more estrogens to be synthesized. Thyroid health is one. Genetics. So if your mother was estrogen dominant, or if you were exposed to estrogens in the womb, so if your mother was stressed while pregnant, that actually leads you to a bit more estrogen dominance.
Wow.
And then of course there's diet and just overall all stress. So just simple things you can do to help reduce your estrogen. You can drink filtered water, make sure it doesn't have fluoride in there, make sure it doesn't have any hormones in there. You can return your gut to optimal function, so you can use cultured foods, fermented foods. You can have probiotics, so a capsule with good bacteria, and you can take prebiotics. So prebiotics are a little bit of starch in your sweet potato, a little bit of starch in nuts and seeds, slippery elm, that kind of thing, and they help to feed the good bacteria. Cleansing is a huge one, so cleansing your liver, cleansing your gut is a huge step towards reducing the estrogen, and probably the biggest way you can reduce it.
Okay.
Eating a balanced diet, and then obviously removing as many chemicals as you can from the environment. Now, just quickly, I just wanted to run people through this and show people how the liver does affect it. So the liver is in charge of actually synthesizing the estrogen from one to the other, estrone to estradiol. If your liver's not working correctly, you kind of get a clog and a backup. And so what you need to do is you need to unclog that backlog of estrogen. And so you can use things like the Brassica family, you can use turmeric, you can use parsley, coriander, and amino acids, protein, which amino acids are fantastic for that.
And Brassica family are things like the cauliflower, broccoli, spinach, kale.
All of those beautiful. And of course, cooked.
Oh, yeah, I'm big on making sure that you cook them, the Brassica family, because it can affect your thyroid. Especially if you're sensitive to that. So even lightly cooking, even just like blanching or even lightly stir frying.
Yes,
yeah,
perfect. But those are the ones that will help. So that's estrogen for you, and a few tips to help you with estrogen, help you pinpoint what if estrogen is an issue, and also help you deal with some of those problems that you may have.
And another thing that we often see that is a very big barrier to weight loss is food intolerance. Okay, so some people live with their food intolerances for so many years, and they experience so many symptoms when they could easily be cut out of the diet and improve their health and well-being. So some of the symptoms to look out for are skin. So if you get hives, rashes, itchiness, swelling, skin breakouts, dry skin, rosacea, anything like that, and your gut is another area to really focus on. If you have heartburn or reflux, extreme reactions to food would cause vomiting, but if you have sort of tummy pains and wind, diarrhea, constipation, IBS, and bloating is such a big one that we see over and over. And on the program, so many reports about women walking past the mirror and seeing that their gut has reduced. Yes. Just by doing the cleansing and removing the trigger foods. It can even affect your breathing in terms of shortness of breath or tight chest.
I've even got the itchy lips.
Yeah.
I get that itchy sometimes when I have something, just the itchy lips and just the itchy mouth.
Itchy tongue,
yeah,
itchy
tongue,
lips. And just an overall general feeling of being unwell and definitely being overweight and having stubborn weight, tired, brain fog, stiff joints, headaches. And the important thing to know, apart from, you know, living with all of these symptoms, is that if you don't treat them, they can lead to more serious health issues like diabetes, thyroid disease, heart disease, arthritis. We get a lot of questions about candida and thrush as well. Okay, so.
And yeah, exactly. And people ask why. And you know, with thyroid disease, what happens is the intolerances they cause what's called leaky gut.
Yes.
And so they cause a change in the bacteria.
Yeah.
And not only does that raise your stress and inflammation, but what that actually does is it, people don't realize this, it actually inhibits the conversion of the thyroid hormones. So just identifying a food intolerance can actually help Hashimoto's, help hypothyroid disease, all of those things.
And
just
all
from
of
that.
those then affect your weight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not just food, exercise. There's no way in the world it can be just
all
about
of these
that.
things.
Yeah.
I mean, I had one client and she was on a really good diet, exercising, but just really struggling with the weight. And we took one thing out of her diet, and in a week she just lost it. It just went down.
It can be as easy as that. Okay. So a lot of people ask us about whether they should get food intolerance tests. And really, I think we agree that that's only one part of the overall diagnosis. So we really think that the best way, the most definitive way to figure out if you actually have a food intolerance or sensitivity is by keeping a food diary in conjunction with doing an exclusion elimination diet as well. So on the Breakthrough program, we take our main offenders from everybody's diet. And the 3-week cleanse involves removing eggs, dairy, gluten and wheat, peanuts, coffee, additives, preservatives, just by way of removing all processed foods. They're automatically gone. Fructose and yeast.
And what's interesting, and this is another thing that happens, so many people stop having dairy, so they stop putting milk in their coffee, they stop having milk on their cereal, and what do? They replace it with soy. Yeah, and soy. Yes.
Soy is, first of all, it's genetically modified in general, and then it really does have a detrimental effect to hormones, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So no soy. Didn't I add that on the list? Oh, yes, there it is. Soy.
But those are, and those come up. Soy actually comes up. I do a lot of tests, and soy comes up so much. It's almost as high as dairy.
Yeah. And dairy is the biggest one, isn't it?
Yeah, dairy is huge. And you know, symptoms of the dairy. So symptoms of soy is that sinus problems. Sinus problems. Symptoms of dairy, you get the itchy ears. It's quite interesting. It's just these little symptoms. And symptoms of eggs. If any of you ever go out for that breakfast in the morning and have to run to the toilet afterwards and have loose bowels, it's the eggs.
But you're not really going to make the connection unless you write it down. Unless you write down your foods and then any symptoms within 24 hours. So. And look, certainly there can be extreme symptoms that you can't ignore, and hopefully if you're one of those people that you've actually been to see your health practitioner to get it sorted out. But we do guide our members and our clients on, then you have to reintroduce the food to really know.
To have a look at the symptoms, to know. Keep the food diary.
Yeah, so you do the cleanse and then reintroduce one at a time carefully. These foods to really know whether that you're reacting. So you would say bring in an egg if you're reintroducing on one day. Take note for 24 hours, see if you've had a reaction. If you haven't, then do it again the next day. If you have a reaction, then you've got to remove that from the diet and then maybe retest it at a later stage. So.
And the differences with intolerances they are dose dependent. So some people can have an egg a week. But if you're having things daily, that's when the problem starts to occur.
Yes, it's with the food that you have often.
Yes.
Okay, so
Barrier number 3.
Yeah.
So stress is a really interesting one, and one of the reasons, stress is a huge one when it comes to weight, but what a lot of people actually fail to realize is the connection between stress and blood sugar.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't see this connection, and even people with diabetes don't, and even diabetic specialists don't actually make their patients aware of the connection between stress and blood sugar.
And so blood sugar, getting that balanced and on an even keel is of utmost importance, essential to your health and to achieving your weight loss goals.
Exactly,
okay?
yes.
So there's many ways you can balance your blood sugar.
Mm-hmm.
So we go through that in the program as well.
Yes, we go through with the blood sugar, especially with the macronutrients.
Yes.
So with stress, there's lots of things that will cause a raise in cortisol, and that's your stress hormone. So as you can see here, we've got infections, we've got physical stress, poor nutrition is a huge one, then we've got psychological stress, high blood sugar. So when your blood sugar is high, you release the cortisol band goes up, and that's when you start to make more fat cells in the abdomen,
around the belly,
around the belly. Yes. Chronic inflammation causes high cortisol, so food intolerance causes high cortisol, and then toxicity. So toxicity in the environment causes high stress. So all these things,
and lack of sleep causes that cortisol to go up as
That's
well.
why you crave more when you're not sleeping. You crave more sweets and sweet food and that type of thing.
So sleep's really important part of the picture.
So if you're getting insomnia, or you've got hypothyroid disease or poor digestion, really look at your stress. And the effects are you get the weight gain around the abdomen. And the way I try and tell people, or try and explain to people about the stress kind of fat gain, is it's a very soft fat gain, but it's got lots of stretch marks, very thin skin. It's a different kind of fat gain around the tummy. You'll also get premature graying, premature aging. So one of the biggest signs is actually getting these wrinkles around the mouth and also the crow's feet. But getting them quickly over a short period of time can be, and constant thirst, and also frequent urination. Sugar cravings, and also cravings for salty foods. So I get a lot of people that say, I'm thirsty all the time, I'm always craving salt. Well, a really good thing to do is just put a little bit of Himalayan rock salt in your drinking water and just sip on that through the day. And that's actually going to help your adrenal glands. Now, people say, but what can I do? I've got stress in everyday life. But it's the way you adapt to stress. So it's you've got to take measures to adapt. So whether you've got the most stressful job in the world, or your family, or working, or whatever it is, you can't necessarily change the circumstances, but you can change how you perceive stress and how you make your body perceive stress.
So that's the mindfulness that comes into it.
Mindfulness, absolutely.
It's about self-talk, about changing the way you think, but also trying to find a way to relax, even if it's 5 minutes.
Just 5 minutes.
Even if it's and everybody can find that. To breathe deeply into their gut, stop the world around them, and it's a really good idea to do it before you actually eat your lunch. This is when I find, so you're setting yourself up for proper digestion as well, doing your breaths, and even going for walks and playing golf. All of these things, if you're into it, all of these things are really fantastic for relaxation.
Relaxing. I mean, it's amazing. And it's funny you mentioned the lunch thing, because one of the things that I say are lots of people who get bloated after lunch. And it's because they sit at their work desk.
Eating.
Gobbling down the sandwich while they're on the phone answering emails. And the blood, your body can only really do a couple of things at once. I mean, it's got its automatic systems, but when you're digesting, it needs all that blood to go to the digestive tract.
Digest while it's even when you're reading. You cannot digest even watching. You feel relaxed watching TV and eating, but you're not digesting.
You're not digesting
you
properly.
Actually have to just eat.
It's just you and your food. Nice and slowly, take the time out. And also a big one is alcohol and caffeine. That does raise stress and raise cortisol levels. You may feel relaxed after a drink, but truly biochemically, it's actually not relaxing you internally. And eating low reactive foods, as we already talked about, and also balancing out your macronutrients to control that.
We're going to talk
that blood sugar.
We'll talk a bit about macronutrients now. So macronutrients purely means the balance of the food that's on your plate, and you most likely have all of these on your plate at every meal, hopefully, and that is protein, fat, and carbohydrates. We've got it under starch there, so low starchy carbohydrates. So there is a bit of an art to finding your own sweet spot here. Often we, as a guide, we suggest 50% of your plate be the non-starchy carbs. What have we got? Yeah. And then the amount of protein, you know that old guide, the palm of your hand and the thickness of your hand, that's a really good place to start.
Yes.
Yeah. And the amount of fat that you want to have on your plate is about your thumb size. But if this doesn't work for you, if you notice you're not losing weight by eating that sort of ratio, then you absolutely have the courage to tweak it and experiment.
Just play around with it. And some symptoms, just while you're playing around with it, some symptoms that you may notice that it's not balanced. So these are some symptoms. For instance, if you have a meal and after your meal, straight after the meal, I'm talking, really, really quickly after the meal, you're craving something sweet.
Yep.
You either had too many carbs or too little carbs.
And not enough fats as well,
Yes.
probably. That used to happen to me, Naomi. I used to, when in the old days, and I would say to my naturopath, I crave sweet as soon as I eat.
It's as soon as you finish, yes.
As soon as I finish. So once I tweaked it and got the balance right, no more sugar cravings.
It's that balance. These symptoms, sugar cravings, hungry after eating, moody, or even low blood sugar before eating.
Yeah.
Who goes for a few hours without eating, and then before their meal they're moody and they're feeling tired or nauseous, and that's because your macronutrients at your previous meal were just not balanced for you.
Yeah.
So it's those 3 wonderful macronutrients and then lots of veg that you need to really balance. And nausea on rising is a big one as well. That can be a big one that you're not balancing it.
And that we hear a lot about women feeling really tired in the morning, and sometimes just adding some starchy vegetables to the meal at night
tiny bit
really,
of sweet potato.
Yeah.
I mean, my favourite sweet potato.
Mine too.
I sleep so well on
yes.
sweet potato. Really, really sleep. I mean, if I have some sweet potato, I have.
You
10%.
called it sleep potato.
Oh, that's good, isn't it? Sleep. I'm going to call it sleep potato. Just 10% of my plate. So, and the rest is a bit of a mix, and I go quite high fat, and that's sweet potato, and I have the best night's sleep.
Yeah. Naomi needs more fat than the thumb.
Yes.
Yeah, I need a little bit more than that.
Yes.
But it does, like I say, it takes the courage to experiment, because everybody's just afraid that they're going to end up putting on more weight. But it will unlock one of your barriers if you just try. I mean, we guide, we can support on that sort of, guideline. But then it's up to you to listen to your own nutrition intuition, which is another point that we're going to talk about soon.
So what can you do in terms of your macronutrients? So again, we keep drilling this home, and because people don't do it and people find it tedious, but keep a food diary.
Yeah.
How did you feel after that meal? Did you feel good? Did you feel satisfied? Did you feel energized?
Yeah.
If so, that ratio, that meal you had was amazing.
Yeah.
Did you feel tired? Did you feel moody? Angry is a big one. Did you suddenly snap at somebody an hour after having ice cream? Because that's a big one.
But unless you're tuned in, you're never going to know. So, and like we said, experiment with the ratios and percentage of macronutrients, and stop relying on snacks. That's a very, very big one for Naomi and I. What we want you to do is try and balance your meals for 3 meals a day, so that you're satiated, so that you feel satisfied, and you do not need to rely on snacks to get you through from one meal to the next. If you've got a beautifully well-balanced meal, then you're able to, with ease, to go for 5 hours until your next meal.
Yes.
I mean, everybody is different. I mean, and this is another thing that is really important to understand. So there may be some people who are training more or preparing for a marathon, they might need
different ratios,
because you get really hungry in that situation. But there's just really important to remember that the snacks need to be a proper snack, whole food snack. You know, some hummus and veggie sticks are really good blissful.
And having snacking on too much fruit, that just potentiates it. That just puts your blood sugar up, and then you're hungry an hour later. And so you do, as Brenda mentioned, you know, stick to your sort of whole foods in terms of your proteins and your fats for your snacks when you do need to snack, and only snack when you feel that hunger.
Yeah, and it gives your digestive system a break. So all of these things will really help you to lose that stubborn weight. Everything that we're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I hope that helped with the macronutrients.
Okay, so we're really big on getting back in touch with your own nutrition intuition. There's so much marketing out there telling you what to eat, how to eat. There's so many fad diets, the latest, you know, big diets, and we've sort of been dumbed down and forgotten how to listen to our own inner voice and listen to our own body about what it needs.
Adverts is I'm actually thinking this today. We should have put adverts on here.
Yeah.
If anyone watches TV, turn off altogether, but turn off during the adverts or fast forward them or something. Just don't listen to adverts.
Well, millions of dollars have gone in to figure out how they're going to make us want to buy that food. Yes. So these are some steps. Well, these are some things to look out for. Is this you? Do you eat without thinking? Do you find yourself in the fridge not knowing how you even got there? Do you eat while you're working or relaxing? So like we mentioned, in front of the TV or reading a book.
And again, can I just mention that about TV?
Yeah.
Television isn't actually a relaxing activity.
No, it's not.
It raises your cortisol.
Yeah.
So when I ask people, what do you do to relax? And they say, I watch the TV after dinner, even after dinner. That's not relaxing. That doesn't count.
It feels it, doesn't it? Because you're lying on the lounge and you're just zoning out. And not to mention the electromagnetic field that goes into late at night, because that does stop you from sleeping properly. That's a whole other subject. But we, got to focus on this one now. So do you forget to chew your? Oh my gosh, do you forget to chew your food? Yeah. So if you're stopping all those distractions, then you're going to chew your food, which is so important for digestion and gut health. Okay. So I just wanted to give you a couple of tips so that you can create a better relationship with food by getting more in touch with your own nutrition intuition. Okay. So it's important to remember that hunger is a physical sign that we need food. It's a natural sign. And our reaction to hunger, unfortunately, hasn't evolved with our convenience-centered world. So we can run to the 7-Eleven anytime we want for anything at any time, okay? So what's happened is we've fallen out of touch because of all the marketing and all the messages. So really, if you want to lose weight, you absolutely 100% have to tune in to your own body's signal to eat. So, what was I going to say? Oh, can we move on to the next slide? Because these are the tips that I wanted to give to everyone. Okay, so just recognize your physical cues. Ask yourself, tune into yourself and ask yourself, are you starving? You don't want to let yourself get to that point because that's when you're more likely to eat crappy food.
Yes.
Okay. Am I hungry? Am I a little bit hungry? And that's the perfect time to eat. These are questions you ask yourself. Takes 30 seconds to ask. And then notice when you're eating, do you feel satisfied? Which is exactly the right place to stop eating. Do you feel full? And do you feel stuffed? And you're going to know that you've eaten too much. And when you're on the way to getting stuffed, the food doesn't no longer taste as good as it did at the start as well. So that's a really good sign to know, it's time to stop, okay? So
how do you know when to stop? If you're hungry, would you just go with the amount that you've got? Or is there a set, or you know how people go, they say it takes 10 minutes.
Even 20 minutes.
It takes about 20 minutes for you to recognise that you're full.
Yeah. So 100%, if you sort of feel satisfied,
Yes.
then you've taken 10 minutes hopefully to eat. So within another 10 minutes, you're going to know.
Yeah.
But then after doing a bit of experimentation, you pretty much know, you sort of sorted, you'll know how much to create for yourself
Yes.
at each meal.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay, so that's interesting. I suppose that's when, if you were doing a food diary, you'd know the amounts,
Yeah.
you'd know what it would look like, and you'd start, because what I find is people in the day, they don't know how much they're eating because they're snacking so much.
Yeah.
So I suppose if you start to recognise how much each of your 3 meals is, then just off the top of your head, you'll know exactly what will satisfy you.
Well, you know, we're on
Yes,
autopilot.
yes.
I know exactly how much I need. It does differentiate. Sometimes I'm surprised when the same thing that satisfies me most of the time suddenly doesn't, but it depends on where I'm at in my cycle and all that sort of stuff. So
Yes.
it's worth noting those sort of
Okay.
changes. All right,
Excellent.
and another tip that I just wanted to say, oh my gosh, I think this is so important, Naomi, is always eat breakfast. So by eating a well-balanced breakfast, fat, protein and carbs, you stay satisfied, and then you're going to and if it's a good sized breakfast, you're going to eat less over the course of the day, instead of having like a massive dinner at night, which isn't very good for, you know, sleep and weight loss and just for your general health.
And if you're someone that suffers from, if you've got leptin resistance, so leptin isn't working, another hormone that I go into in the program, but I haven't gone into this time, but we will cover it. It's a hormone that really is a control hormone of, you know, your satiation. So if you don't eat properly in the morning, or you've had a bad dinner and then don't eat, or just have a piece of fruit, your leptin goes out, so you're more likely to snack on funny things and get just hungry through the day. And it's like that hunger center in your head just goes out completely. And the same with blood sugar as well. If you don't eat properly in the morning, especially, your blood sugar's out for the rest of the day.
That's right. And I know that if I, for whatever reason, haven't been able to have a proper breakfast, I am snacking for the rest of the day. It throws you out completely.
Yes, yeah.
And just also another part of that, being in touch with your nutrition intuition, is, for me, breakfast I can't do at 7 o'clock. I can't do at 8 o'clock. For me, breakfast is at 9 o'clock, whatever time suits you. If you're going to work, take your breakfast. And if it's 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, you know, just have your breakfast when...
There's no point rushing as you're going out the door with a piece of toast with Vegemite.
No. And especially if you're not hungry at that time. Yeah, everybody's hungry. Not being that hungry in the morning does suggest that you probably had too big a dinner the night before. But just listen to your own body and go with that. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're not hungry, you can wait. And if you're feeling good in the morning, if you're not hungry and you feel energized, you don't necessarily have to have something straight away.
Well, and that also leads to that sort of little bit of fasting that comes into it as well. Sometimes on those days, it does happen where I'm not really hungry till 11. And so I'm only having 2 meals that day. And it's good for your body to have that little mini fast.
Yes.
Okay, so it might feel like a whole bunch of information there, but I just wanted to say that we are running our breakthrough program, and we guide everybody through that process of cleansing. And were you just trying to get us back up there?
Yeah, just trying to get us back up. It's the first time I've used this one. It's a new one for me, new webinar program. So I'm just learning how to...
Are we up?
We should come up in about 30 seconds. Hello, everyone.
No, we're not here.
You are screen sharing. Stop. Present to everyone. Here we go. Hi, everyone. We're back. So, so what we'll do now is we'll do a bit of question and answer. So, we've got the chat box enabled. So if anyone wants to
ask us any questions,
we're here to answer. And we'll just wait for those to come through. So the questions can be about, if you've got any questions related to any hormones. So hormones, of course, estrogen, but if you wanted to ask a question about any of the other hormones, And we've also got, you can ask us about the macronutrients, so we'll just wait for them to come through. But while we're waiting, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop in a little sticky note here with a link to the breakthrough so you can have a little look.
We start that on Monday, and we've got lots of women already really excited on the Facebook page, sharing their goals and sharing their hardships.
Okay, so what we've got here, we've got a question that's just come through. It's about leptin, actually, how to control leptin. Now, one of the ways, I mean, the main ways to control leptin, as we discussed, is really through diet. So it's about what you eat and when you eat, and not snacking. So definitely not eating fruit in the morning, not snacking too much. But one of the biggest things is exercise. So actually not exercising intensely for women first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
So not intensely. I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but if you exercise intensely first thing in the morning, you're actually more inclined to be hungry.
Yeah.
So if you find you exercise like that in the morning and you're hungry through the day, then that's a sign that your leptin levels are out. So check that. So exercise and fruit are the two main things to deal with when you're trying to control your leptin levels.
Yeah, I actually love exercising in the morning, but I just make it a nice and easy walk around the beach or around the park, or just something gentle yoga or something like that.
Okay, so we've had another question through. I have been on paleo, no grains, no wheat, no dairy, no legumes since October, and I have not lost any weight. I'm wondering what to do now. Well, I'll just say one thing. Do you eat eggs a lot? So if you eat eggs a lot,
which paleo diet does do, and eggs are super nutritious, okay? Good quality eggs are absolutely fantastic, and my children have them a lot because I know how good they are for them, but I can't have them too often in my diet.
And the
makes me put on weight.
So the paleo diet's a good diet, but what you need to watch is, are you eating too much protein?
Yeah.
Are you eating eggs daily?
Yeah.
And those are the things to do with diet with paleo.
And you can have too much fat as well. You can actually have too much fat in your diet. So
you need to watch those.
Yeah.
So it's the ratio. The next thing is, what are you doing exercise-wise? Are you exercising too much? Are you not exercising at all? Sometimes with the paleo diet, women tend to get more elevated testosterone, and this is just unfortunate. More elevated testosterone. They exercise more intensely, they're on high protein, gain a bulky muscle mass, but still have a bit of weight.
Yeah.
So you need to look at those signs as well. So it is a good diet, but women do have a tendency to keep weight on, if especially the ratios aren't right and the lifestyle.
But all of those things that we're talking about, it's a holistic approach. It can't just be about food. Clearly, because you haven't lost weight since October, it's not just about food and it's not just about exercise. And it could just simply be that little tweak of eggs. It's just trying to discover your own barrier.
And also, please remember, women and men, and this is why we focus on women. Women and men are so different.
Totally different.
And men can go so well with a true paleo. Even men can do a caveman diet.
They do.
A woman on a caveman diet, it wouldn't suit her as well.
No.
Men can do it a bit more, and they can do that whole lifestyle of working out daily.
They're so annoying. It's so frustrating. The weight just drops off them so easily, doesn't it? Most of the time.
Except if they've got high estrogen.
Yes.
If any of you have got men out there with puffy nipples, it's actually a sign they might have elevated estrogen, but that's for another program. Ovulation pain, what does that mean and what is it linked to? Ovulation pain is linked to testosterone.
Sorry.
So if you've got elevated testosterone, you will have a couple of signs. You may have extended menstrual cycle. So we're looking at 32 days, 35 days, up to 40 days, the whole menstrual cycle. You'll get pain at ovulation.
Yeah, it's a bit like a mild period pain. That's what some of my clients say.
Yes. So that's what it is. You might get other signs. So you might get some facial hair, you might get some back acne. And what I've realized is also what I've discovered in my clients, another sign, if you can see me here, this area here gets clogged, and doesn't necessarily have to be acne, but here is estrogen. Acne here is estrogen. Acne just up here on the chin line, that's your testosterone.
Yeah.
Acne or even blackheads.
So really, when you cleanse, you are trying to balance your hormones. When you cleanse, when you address sleep, all of these factors, the aim is, one of the aims is to balance your hormones, including testosterone. What's the question?
What time of day is best for heavy exercise? Okay, so heavy exercise, I mean, as we said, if you've got a tendency to have leptin out, first thing in the morning can increase that leptin resistance. So you just need to figure that out. If you exercise in the morning and you're okay the rest of the day and you're fine with just your 3 meals, but if you find you need to snack, then morning isn't the best for you.
Yeah.
Some people actually do well mid-afternoon.
Yep, and keeping in mind that we really do recommend the heavy lifting. I mean, you may need to work up to that if you're not used to it, but it is really fantastic for the body and for lean muscle and for weight loss to do that sort of exercise, but not too long, because then that affects your hormones again. So shorter sessions, really concentrated heavy workouts, even 20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah, of that different types. And then, as we mentioned before, really mixing it up.
Varying it, yeah.
I truly, I do understand that with intense exercise and long running, there is that endorphin hit.
Yeah.
And you feel good.
Yeah.
But learn to balance it out. Learn to balance, do some lighter exercises, which you may even find frustrating. Lots of runners or intense exercises go and do yoga and they say, I can't do it, it's too relaxing. Anyone that says they can't do yoga, they need it.
But, you know, if your goal is weight loss, then it is ideal not to be doing those long 45-hour sessions. You'd be really efficient. You benefited by being efficient with your exercise.
Yeah.
And there are different strategies for that and different ways, and we offer routines and stuff like that.
I like to say minimum input for maximum output, and it is.
I love
possible.
It that way.
It is possible.
I love it that way. It suits my lifestyle. Suits me perfectly.
Yes, I mean, if you are a runner and do lots of long distance exercise, then you're more at risk of actually having later in life after menopause actually having lower estrogen.
Yeah.
So you do need to balance it out.
Yeah.
And be careful.
What's the next?
Okay. Well, that's menopause. Okay, so menopause. Everyone thinks after menopause your hormones are in a particular state and your ovaries can't produce them, but you produce hormones for your whole life. Even if you don't have ovaries and you've had those removed, you still produce hormones. Your fat tissue produces hormones. You actually produce more testosterone, so you get more facial hair. You actually produce more estrone, which is produced in the fat tissue. And stress hormone as well can be converted. DHEA, so all these hormones, I showed you that chart at the beginning. You can see where all the conversions happen and how hormones can be effective. So after menopause, what your good estrogen, as I call it, your sort of high-acting estrogen goes lower. Your negative estrogen goes higher, and that causes you get the hot flushes, you get the weight gain. And one of the most interesting symptoms, and this is a symptom that I'm actually so passionate about because I see it wrongly diagnosed all the time, is high cholesterol. Yeah. Did everyone see at the beginning the graph that we put up?
We need cholesterol.
Cholesterol to produce your hormones. Yep. Now, isn't it funny, after menopause, women's cholesterol goes higher, their estrogen goes lower. We've got a negative feedback. And what do GPs do? They put women on cholesterol medication, which exacerbates the hormones. It's not the cholesterol you need to work at, it's actually your hormones. And you can, by having a healthy diet, good macronutrients, full of low stress.
Beautiful fat, that's what they're doing. They're saying go low fat. The doctor goes go low fat because you've got to reduce your cholesterol. But and it's the opposite of exactly what you should be doing.
And as you can see, just by me saying this, I'm so passionate because going on the medication is not the answer. It's working on your adrenals, your thyroid, your hormones, working on all of those in beautiful ways will actually help the cholesterol. Who's Clarette?
I find the hormones so fascinating. It's such a big, huge subject. It's so amazing how they affect so much.
It is amazing.
Amazing. I think we might have time for one more question.
We've got time for one more.
Yeah,
we've got so many there, but we'll try and do something in terms of we'll try and email them out. We'll see what we can do. But we've got one here. Is it best to not have dairy as a high-fat food? I have switched to low-carb, high-fat diet a few months, and I have found I have gained a little weight.
Okay, can I answer that?
Yes.
I love dairy. I find that it really does satiate me incredibly well, but I put on weight eating it. So I'm like you, and I have to reduce it. I actually at one point completely cut it out because I started to rely on it a little bit. And oh my gosh, I really noticed the quick difference it made to my weight, and I wasn't feeling as good as I normally do. So the minute I took it out, I would say give it a go. Just take it out of your diet for a week or 2 weeks and see what happens.
Yeah, if you're finding the high fat's working for you, because I think you've mentioned that the fats helped your mood and menstrual cycle.
Keep up the fats, but maybe not the dairy. So coconut oil, avocado, butter, ghee, those sorts of really healthy fats. Yeah, olive oil, and then nuts and seeds as well. But those are the best, and animal fats. Oh my gosh, getting the most. They're the most nutritious fats to include in your diet. So much still to eat, and I've noticed that I've been really going for the more of the fat on the meat and saving my bacon fat for my good quality animals and like cooking and frying, and that's made a really big difference.
Yes,
so, and I'd love to know how that one goes.
The dairy is good for you in some respects for some people. Yeah. And if you've got too much of a certain type of gut bacteria, it actually causes weight gain. Yeah. And in the belly as well. It's like it's a bit of it around the belly.
Because you can always eliminate it and heal the gut.
Yes.
And then introduce it in the form of goat's cheese, like to populate your gut with really good bacteria again, and just see how that goes as well. Because it could just be that you need to cleanse and reduce inflammation. But yeah, cut it out for a few weeks, 1 to 3 weeks, and see how it goes. Okay.
So I think that's all. There are some more that we will try and get to. We might send we'll send the emails out, and we'll see if there's any that we've missed. We hope you found this interesting tonight. We've really tried to add value and share to you what we really believe and what we see to be weight blockers other than the usual. So the usual people say, less food, more exercise. With women, it's so important, all of these areas that you just focus on these balances. And even if you just choose one area, because it's all too overwhelming, just do that. And I've posted in the notes, you'll see the link to the Breakthrough Program. Have a look, take a look, see if it's something that you'd be interested in. We go through all of this and more, so you can see on that page. But if not, you'll be hearing from us again, because we really want to get the message out here, and we really want to help you live a great life and feel good. Feel good about yourself and just feel healthy as well.
Yes, exactly. So thank you so much for being here, taking the time out to hang out with us on your Friday night. And best of luck with trying to unlock your weight loss barriers. And we hope that you have found something here that may have rung true for you.
Exactly. Great. Thank
Good
you.
night, everyone.
Bye.